Welcome to MES e-learning channel. In this session, we will be discussing about Paulo Freire and drama in education. Paulo Freire was a renowned educated Brazilian educator, and he is known for his very radical thinking in the field of education, also with relation to society and his philosophical thoughts about the society, about how societies ought to be, and how education is an important aspect of that. So, he feels that education will not change the world. It is not education that is going to change the world, but it is people who will change. Therefore, you have an education that will change people, and people let people change the world. So, he focused on the individual, he focused on the people's will to make the changes. He was a great believer in equality, and he felt that the present system really does not, or the present education system really does not create any kind of changes that is necessary. Rather, it is reinforcing the age-old values on maintaining the status quo. So, he felt that education ought to bring about changes in individuals who can change the world. Now, his views regarding traditional education was very critical in nature. As you can see, traditional education does not give much scope for the individual learner. The child is nothing but is expected to repeat what the teacher says, or the child is expected to go according to the whims and fancies of the teacher. Most of the traditional education systems are very teacher centered, where the child has a very minimal role to play rather than being an obedient person who will go according to the dictates of the teacher. Now, Freire was very much against this system. He said that this really does not create proper citizens. So, education is, such type of education system actually perpetuated oppression, and these structures did not empower the students. And since it did not empower the student and create the right kind of citizens, it followed that even the society that created was created out of this education system was also one in which people were treated unequally, and there was a lot of you could say there was a lot of conflict in such type of societies because of the kind of suppression that people in these societies face. I mean, when I say these societies, almost all the societies around the world follow the traditional type of education, barring a few which are changing nowadays. And one must say that Paulo Freire's works were very much instrumental in bringing about these changes. So, he felt that the student should be empowered. Unless the student is empowered and the student open out his mind, it is the student who will become a citizen who is going to challenge these inequalities, and that is what the student should be empowered to do. So, according to Freire, he feels that human beings are not silent, they always want to express themselves. So, classrooms should give an opportunity for students to express themselves. So, it is in fact what is happening in classrooms is we are forcing students to keep quiet and thereby subdue their expressions. Instead, Paulo Freire says that classrooms should enable the child to come out of his fear of speaking out his mind, and thereby empower the child. And it is natural to human being to express themselves. So, the role of the education should be to sort of motivate the individual to carry on with the natural feeling that they have, that is to express themselves. So, that is why Paulo Freire's methods of teaching, drama is one of the main methods, you could say, because especially in his book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, He says that cultural circles should be built up, that will and it should involve the use of drama, because drama provides a kind of an atmosphere wherein the student can express themselves freely and they can engage in critical reflection, they can engage in critical dialogue. So that provides an opportunity for students to express themselves freely in front of their teachers, in front of their peers, etc. Now that really removes the kind of shyness from the students, and they become bold and they become empowered to express their views, their critical views. So how do we create change? We say that we want, I mean every society wants to change for the better. So how do we change? That picture is explanatory, I feel. Change is brought when people are able to say what they want and also to express what is right. This is how things ought to be, not to be afraid of people who are in power. So people should be empowered to challenge the structures of power. So how will somebody challenge the structures of power if they themselves do not feel confident to do that? So that is what education ought to teach young children. So he feels that drama and theatre it provides a safe environment for the student. It helps them to develop their voice in becoming more confident to create the kind of change that is expected. How can change come? Only people can make the change. How will people make the change? That change can be made only if there is confidence among the people. So to develop that confidence, drama is a medium, and this medium can help develop the confidence in the child, help develop even educational concepts, help develop learning. All aspects related to learning can be done with the help of drama. Now in the earlier sessions we have already seen how we can use different kind of drama techniques in the classroom itself. So what are the forces that shape our life or shape the lives of the young students? There are different forces at play always, but what shapes their life? To know what shapes their life, we also need to understand that how we need to shape those factors which have an impact on our life. And that can be done through the medium of drama. So social, political forces, cultural factors, all these, even religious factors, all these factors have a bearing on our lives and how we live our lives. So how do we make the desired change in these areas? So unless there are confident young citizens who can critically examine what is happening and who can give critically valid points, it is through them that these changes take place. If you have a submissive kind of citizens, it is, of course, submissive citizens are easy to rule, but then they will never make those changes. Now when changes are made, it is for the masses, and that is for a more just and equitable society. So that's what Freire says, through education you can make these things happen, and through the various techniques in education, of which drama is a very important aspect. Of course, Freire speaks about dialogical classrooms. So classrooms are not one where the teacher would say and the students would listen. Rather, the students would say and the teacher would listen, and if at all, there would be a dialogue between the teacher and the student. These are called as dialogical classes. So social change. How can students become a part of this social change? Through socio-cultural evolution, alteration of the social order of the society. And these social changes will include social institution, social behavior, social relationship, political structures, religious structures. If you are thinking about India, we have caste structures, gender structures. These structures are also, they are very formal and they are very embedded in our society. It's not easy to break these steps. These changes can only come from the grassroots level, that is from the citizens themselves. So in order to bring about these changes, making a few rules and regulations or policing will not affect. This has to come through education. And how? Not because textbooks or what do you say, the teacher will preach or something like that, but through dialogue, through understanding, through critical analysis of the situation done by the students. It is only through dialogue that such kind of situations will change. And therefore, education should provide a platform for students to bring about that kind of a dialogical inquiry or a critical inquiry. So, overall his work emphasizes on importance of student-centered classes, student-centered learning, student-centered representation. This actually emboldens the students or makes the students more bold to express their views. So, education should encourage the students to think critically and voice their concerns, and that would lead to the change that is needed in any society. I hope this session was interesting, students. Thank you.